Hey guys, today's video is going to be probably the most important video to me that I'll have to make. The whole reason why I got up the courage to start a YouTube channel was because of this video right here. This is going to be the whole story on how our son was diagnosed with PKU. So we're just going to start in the very beginning. His labor and delivery was by far the easiest that I've ever gone through. The recovery was nothing at all. I was pretty much back to normal as soon as he got out of me. So it was a very easy labor and delivery. He was a little small. He was only 6 pounds 2 ounces whenever he was born, but he was perfect. That's just the only way that I can describe him. Like, he was just so perfect. Not that my other 2 kids weren't, because all of my kids are perfect in my eyes, but I just could not believe how easy everything had been. It was just perfect. So we stay just over 24 hours after he was born. They did the newborn screen test at 24 hours old, and then we left like a 12 hours later, I think. We left the hospital. We went to my grandma's house to show him off and to see the family, and then we came home. The next day he had a doctor's appointment with the pediatrician that he saw in the hospital, and that appointment was to just check his bilirubin levels to make sure he didn't have jaundice. The day after that appointment, I had set him up with the other boy's pediatrician because we really love her. So we set him up an appointment with them, and so we were going to go in at 2 weeks, I think, to do a weight check because my second child had problems gaining weight, so I really wanted to keep on track of his weight. So I set up that appointment, and I got off the phone. I got a call 30 minutes to an hour later, saying that they had received a call from Children's Hospital, that I didn't need to freak out, that I just needed to call this number and talk to this person, and I needed to do that immediately as soon as I got off the phone. So I asked her what was going on and why I needed to call back, and she said, well, one of the test results from his newborn screen was a little off and they just need to recheck him. And I said, what was it? She said pretty much it was PKU, that his numbers for PKU was elevated. But she'd also told me not to go on Google and research it because I'm just going to freak myself out. She said I just needed to call the number and I needed to do that immediately. So I got off the phone with her. I told my mom what happened, and I told her that I was going to call this lady and that she needed to look it up because I wanted to be prepared. So I called Children's Hospital and talked to who I was supposed to talk to, and they said that I needed to be up there within the hour so they could retest him. So I let my husband know because I think he went to go do something. So I called my husband and I told him that he needed to get home right now, that we needed to get ready, and we needed to take Landen to Children's Hospital. So he gets home. We head up to Children's Hospital. We go where they tell us to go. We wait for just a little bit. Then we go back and they put a pee bag on him to collect a urine sample and then send us back out to the waiting room. And we wait for whoever it was that needed to talk to us. So they get us back in the room and we sit down. And they proceed to tell us that my son has PKU. A little backstory. My night nurse at the hospital that did his newborn screen, I didn't really care for her too much. So the first thing that popped into my head was she probably just did the test wrong. Like, of course that's what it was. She just did the test wrong, and that's just what it was. And I told her that, and she was like, well, no, his levels were extremely high, way higher than normal. And so then I started bawling. I said, there's no way that my son has PKU. He is perfect. There's nothing wrong with him. I have 2 other kids. I know that there's nothing wrong with him. You've got the wrong baby. There must have been a mix-up. And they were like, no, they do this and they're very careful about it, and we know that your son they pretty much told me that they knew that he had PKU, and they told us that we needed to give him a special formula for the next 48 hours to drop his levels initially, and then we could go back to breastfeeding, but we had to do so many ounces of the formula, and it was a crazy amount, and I am so pro breastfeeding. And at that point I got mad. There was no way my son had PKU. So we leave the hospital and we try to give him the formula, and he just wasn't. So I guess the taste was too off. He didn't like it, and so he was spitting everything that he drank back up. It was really, really difficult, and I just felt so horrible, and I just knew in my head that he didn't have PKU. They had the wrong baby. There was no way that there was anything wrong with my child. So I called up to the hospital and I talked to the geneticist, and I told her that he had he wouldn't drink very much of the formula, and what he did drink he was spitting back up. And so I didn't know what the issue was there, but I wasn't going to let my child starve, and something needed to be done. And she said, okay, well, until we get the test results back, he has to have, I understand not wanting him to starve, but he has to have this formula. And so until he gets used to it, just mix half breast milk, half formula, but he really needs to get as much formula down as he can. And if you can, do less breast milk, more formula, trying to get him used to it to where he can just drink straight formula. And so I did the best I could. He still wasn't having it. I can't tell you how much I cried throughout the next couple days until we got the official results back. But it was a lot. And my husband was very strong for both of us, even though I could tell that he was concerned also, and that he was having a hard time accepting it. So we got that phone call whenever he was 3 days old, and the day that he turned a week old, we got the results back. We heard back from the labs, and they said that he did have PKU. There's 2 different kinds of PKU. There is hyperphagia and there's classic. And classic is the worst one. So he has classic PKU. And as soon as I got that phone call, I kind of stepped into gear, because with PKU, you don't really see the effects of it if it's not treated until around 6 months, and the effects can be like anywhere from being a little bit slower to hit milestones to mental retardation. And so I stepped it into high gear. I made sure that he got formula and formula only, and we worked really hard to get his levels down so hard that once they did go down, they stayed down too low for a little too long, but nonetheless, we got them where they needed to be in the right amount of time, and we have accepted it, and we have embraced it. I still have my bad days where I think too far ahead, like first birthdays, going to school, interacting with other kids as he becomes an adult. There's lots of fears in the future, so I try to stay in the moment and just take things as they come. We do blood spot tests once a week to check his levels, and then we hear back from the dietitian and we adjust the formula if needed, and we stay on top of things very carefully. He does see a geneticist every 6 weeks at this point, so we keep a very close eye on him. And then also he sees a regular pediatrician, so he sees his dietitian, his geneticist, and his regular pediatrician. Everybody is looking out for the best interest of my little guy, and I appreciate that so much. I also want to add that I cannot describe how thankful I am for the newborn screening test. Because without that newborn screening test, we wouldn't know that there was something wrong with my little guy until it was really bad. And I'm just so thankful that we have the technology and the research that's gone behind it, and I am just so thankful for the newborn screening test. And I encourage everybody to do your research on the newborn screening test and make sure your child gets that test. That's the story on our son's diagnosis. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up, comment any questions that you have down below, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already for more updates. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.